Hi, everybody. It's great to see so many of you here. I'm Anisha Oommen, and you've got a detailed introduction into all of our works and our bios, so I'm not going to go into that. But Priyanka, Federico, Siddharth, it's great to have you here. I'm really excited to dive into conversation with you guys, but before we start, I just want to set context for our audience. We're talking about Neoteric design philosophies, and I'll be honest, I had to Google what that meant. So when we start, why don't you tell us what does Neoteric design mean to you, and how does this philosophy inform your practice? Federico?
Hello, hi all. Thank you, Anisha, and actually thank you to introduce us to this term because we had no idea what it means. And actually, the first thing that I did was like I opened ChatGPT and I just, typed Neoteric, and I discovered that the first word neo means new, and I actually realized that it means working with new materials, new processes, and it's functionalism, minimalism, and at the same time mixing and crossing different disciplines with sustainability. So really thank you, because actually it's something that we really do in our practice.
Thanks.
So because our brand called Taro Collective, Taro means toro, comes from toro, so well done. And Italian and Indians, we spell it like that, right? Like taro. So that's how we wrote it. And the collective part is what we really focus on, because we really believe in people, really at a human nature. So through my journey in Italy, I actually worked in a studio where we were going throughout Italy, working with artisan excellence. And I met so many interesting people, working with different processes and materials. And coming to India, actually, I was pursuing that, and I was, looking for that a lot. So in our studio practice, we work, with many clients, from big clients like Reliance, but also a small boutique like Mazaba, or restaurants throughout socials, Smokehouse Deli. But the main thing that really was the biggest factor for us was really the deep connection with people that, first of all, are nice people, really at a human level, and then they love what they do, so the passion that they have. So then we thought, to transpose that to a brand of furniture that, please visit us. We are just in the design part. The idea is really to work with people that really love what they do. And so we are presenting this year our new collection that is being developed in Rajasthan, in Udaipur. And we actually lived 2 years in Udaipur to develop this collection, because we really believe in deep connection with people, and we think that the design process needs to be holistically and not just the product itself. So the design is actually the full process to design the entire ecosystem around the product, from the beginning, to know the people that actually are manufacturing it, to discover the processes, the machines that they use. So this is a huge engineered collection, although maybe it doesn't look like, but the simplicity is what we worked with at the end. So all engineered systems are actually developed with the high-end machines. We found this factory in Udaipur that has all German and Italian machines. So we got to know them and the machines to actually develop this joinery that allows all the collection to be completely foldable. The deep connection with the context is what it's important for us to release this. And moving forward, we are really developing a new collection, and we'll keep working throughout India to actually get to know people, get to know manufacturer, understand the context, and then eventually result in something tangible, like could be a collection of furniture.
I love how you bring Indian thoughtfulness, attention to detail with the Italian design aesthetic. That really comes through in the collection. Thanks, Federico.
Thank you.
Priyanka, will you tell us a little bit as well?
Just like Federico, I had to go back and understand what this word meant. And I think I will just describe what we do as a design practice, and maybe that is our way, and hence that'll be our philosophy. And just to take you through a material practice that we've observed out in the real world, which is glass, and glass is ever present, and how we observe glass and then how we brought that material into the studio. So to give you one background, is the studio is a very insular kind of a place where it's maybe our own little bubble, and we have our own craftsmen, we have our own carpenters, designers, and it's very, very dialogue oriented within the geographic location that it is. And I think we're very moved with noticing what's happening outside in the real world and then bringing it here, studying it, really looking at it, experimenting with it, exploring the effects, exploring the tactility of these materials. So this glass, incidentally, is used in the imitation gemstone industry, which is where the colors are just insane. They blew my mind when I saw them. And this is literally stacked like this. And I was amazed. I was just like, this is something that we have to bring in. We brought it in, literally looked at how light was going through it, all the different availabilities of this glass. And then we found out that nobody was actually ready to precisely cut it into these slices. Some of these slices, we kind of like coerced these craftsmen to give us samples and all of that. It took us such long times to really even get it. So then slowly, we decided, let's just do it ourselves. And this is our studio, actually, looking through the glass. These are all the colors that it's available in. And the effects are just insane. So I think what our philosophy is that we try and study it, we try and work with it. This is literally how rudimentary it is to cut the glass. It almost looks like you're mining through it. And then it's about finding out applications of how we can use it in products and how we can actually bring it into real life contexts. And this is how that process really starts. And we made this cabinet, for instance, which has this glass embedded on it. So this was the carpentry was like the framework, and then we figured out the workflow of how to get all of these pieces ready and then how they can be brought on. And just the colors were just magical to witness, really. These are environments inside the cabinet. And really, honestly, it's about that for us. It's about if we're looking at something in the real world and we're inspired by it, we'll bring it into the studio, talk about it for days, maybe years, and then just figure out what to do with it. I think.
Yeah, I think that's signature to your work at the Shed.
Yeah.
That one of the things that I first read about her is that her work is driven by dialogue, and they look to nurture both movement and imagination. I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks, Priyanka. Siddharth, will you tell us a little bit about how this philosophy informs your work?
So I myself also had to Google the word, like all of the others. And I think art and design is a response to time. What we create, there's always new materials, there's always new scientific researches, and what we do is a response to time. And for me, I've always loved exploring new materials. I started off with sawdust and sand. Sand because I grew up, I'm from Goa, I grew up by the beach. Sand was everywhere. There was a small carpentry workshop next to my studio, and then I decided to kind of use the sand and sawdust in my work. So it's often the environment that I create the work in finds its way into my art pieces. I'm just going to start and show you. Yeah. So these are my works with sand and sawdust. Everything you see is done with my fingers. for the past 10 years, 20 years actually, I've grown up by the fields. What I create is the bird's eye view of land. I've always been inspired by abstractions of Mark Rothko, Sean Scully, and this is basically adding a lot of texture to my abstract pieces. This is basically the red laterite soil that you see in Goa. So all the work I create is a response to the environment I'm in. What I create is basically the sand in the ocean, the hills. This is a client that wanted something to do with the sea. And all my works are almost to do with the seashore, the bird's eye view. What I've done there is, if you've seen the old Goan windows, have lucent seashells that were placed in the old Goan windows. So I've taken those exact seashells I collected on the beach, cut them up, and made a little piece within the painting. This piece is probably about 14 feet tall. It was done for a double height ceiling, a double height wall for a client's home, which is again the sand and the seashore. Yeah. This is actually a work I created when I was 14 years old. This is done with flip-flops I collected from the beach. So there's a beach in Goa called Shapora, and there's hundreds of flip-flops that come and collect on the beach. So what I did was just collected all these flip-flops, I cut them into pieces, and I created a wing. And the whole idea was that the flip-flops have walked roads, they've swam the ocean, and now they want to fly. So hence the wing. So this is one of my earliest works, but I kind of wanted to use it in this talk. Now, I recently got into hospitality about 2 years ago, and this is a bar that I've created. It's called Room 1. You might have heard of it in Goa. It's a small little speakeasy, which is just 18-seater. Now, this was, 2 years ago, I started a place called Sopo in Goa, which is a Burmese cuisine. And it was also a boutique hotel, but I was really uninterested in running the rooms. And this particular room was on top of the PDR, which is the private dining room, and the bar was also right below it. So the people who rented this room out, could never sleep because you always had the bartender shaking up cocktails. So I turned this particular room into a bar. And this actually happened inspired by a bar in Vietnam called Haflington, where the whole bar was about having a lot of taxidermy. There was a giant skeleton, and I found that very mesmerizing. So I sat there, I called my business partner, I video called him, I'm like, this is a really nice space, it's a 130-seater bar. How about we create, a tiny 18-seater? And yesterday we shut the place at 5:30 in the morning. It's a space that has people waiting just to kind of have a drink there. But the whole idea was to create an experience. You enter a hotel and you come to a tiny room that turns into a bar. So the whole idea was to create an experience and how art can actually play a very big role in hospitality. When I feel that when good music, good hospitality, good art, visual, audio, so all in all, good culinary arts, good food, good drinks. When all of these worlds combine, the customer always has a more enriching experience. So this is exactly what we did there. And if you see, we have an angle of adultery to the space as well, where we have the lids of the Goan curry vessels. So a lot of the times when I create spaces, I have a lot of materials I find in the local markets, which I use. This is a space called Soka. It's actually his favorite bar. Basically, he has an office right next to it. This is in Bangalore, and this is a space I designed during Diwali. So if you can see, you see about 3,000 diyas on the whole wall. The wall only cost 30,000 to make because that's just the diyas I bought from the local market. But what I did was a massive cocoon. So when I kind of pitched this to the guys who told me to design the space, they were like, there's no way we're letting you make a lamp where customers will hit their head on it. But what happens here is So I made the bar a little smaller. I reduced the covers from about 48 covers to 38 and put a community table below it. And what happens then when people are a little tipsy, and because I run bars, I'm trying to create an experience, not just a space. So when people are a little tipsy after a few cocktails, people start touching the cocoon. And then the cocoon swings. So when it's swinging, that kind of brings an angle of play. It creates smiles. And that's the whole idea, where art can actually lead to enriching an experience. What you see on that side is there's about 9-10 heads behind the bar. Now these heads move very, very gradually, and you don't know whether you're drunk or whether the heads are actually moving. So the whole idea is to spark conversations and create that sense of, oh, am I drunk or is that moving? And all the bartenders will tell you they're not moving. So yeah, that's a space. And I primarily work a lot with copper as well. So that's all natural patina. And once again, it's the bird's eye view of land of the Goan seashore. This is one of my latest projects where I've created 14 feet lamps for a space called Reservoir. It was a space about birds, animals, reservoir, and I didn't design the whole space, just the lamps for it. So these are 14 feet lamps called the Wing. And all of this, you see, I'm always fascinated by texture, so I hand paint all this myself. So this was a small little space called Tiffin Express. This was a space that sold dosas and coconuts on the Mandavi River. And I saw this as an ad on Facebook, and I said, I have to take this place up. I originally took it up to create my art studio there. So I wanted to just paint and sculpt by the river. But then my partner was like, why don't we create a small little 30-seater bar? And this is what it looks like today. It has like an 80-kilo bar counter of copper. And it's just a 30-seater space. So what we're trying to do is also create like intimacy within spaces, where you come for a drink and you start a conversation with the next table and the next table. And towards the end of the evening, you just go out as friends. So that's what we're trying to create by creating small spaces. That's what it looks like. If you see, I designed it as a river bank. During the low tide, the river kind of recedes almost 100 meters into the water. And what you see is a river bank that I've created within the restaurant. The rocks during low tide grow mussel shells. And this is a mussel shell lamp that I created within space. So it just kind of hangs there and creates a feeling of calm. This is again 3 meters. The cocoon was about 5 meters. Yeah. This is one of my latest pieces I just finished a week ago for a client's home. This is a honeycomb lamp. So it's like a massive honeycomb you walk into the moment you enter the living room of the space. And now I've kind of got into home bars, and I've been doing home bars with beaten copper and natural patina. So that's ferrous oxide that kind of colors the patina into a red. And yeah, those are my works behind as well, where I work with paper, sand, sawdust, and pieces of wood. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Siddharth. Which is a nice segue into my next question. And I know you touched upon this a little bit about how you design spaces to bring people together. And I think that informs both of your design as well. How do you design spaces to actually create dialogue, spaces for dialogue intentionally?
You want to go? Or okay. So actually, we are considering, in our practice, we are considering as enabler, in the sense that, in the design studio, of course, we believe that we are like a tool for our client to achieve what they really need, what they really want. And actually, most of the time, they don't even know what they really need and what they really want. So our design process gathered to that, in the sense that we really need to enter into a deep connection with them to really make them understand what they really want. And our process helps, to create this relationship that at the end results into something tangible that at the end can be, whether it's a residential project or a restaurant or a store or a product, in the sense that also in our brand, Taro Collective, we actually design furniture to be very functional and to follow the customer wherever they go, wherever they want to have interaction. So we believe that the furniture, it's not a statement that needs to take, the space and the attention of the space itself, but we want that it's an help. It's enabling something. So our collection itself, it's completely movable. So in the sense that wherever you want to live, wherever you want to have an interaction, and you want to share moments with your friends or with your family, they should help you to do that. So really, we don't want that that takes the attention and they're the main focus. So that's, I think, how naturally we want that the product are helping that. There is a designer that we keep following, that is Dieter Rams, that has 10 principles of good design, and basically that's what we really have in our practice, in the sense that the product itself should be honest, should be intrinsically have properties that they're not loud, but they naturally comes to you. They need to be simple to understand, so understandable without even explaining it, because otherwise it means that we didn't do well our job. So really these are the way that we believe that in our practice we should operate. Let's say less but better. I know it's like every time whenever we work also in interior with our clients, it's just about quantity, right? Most of the time is like, I want more. Show me 2-3 more options, like if it's like a piece of bread in a in a bakery. But it's not about that. Like our process is really to arrive to something that it's really what you need, and we believe that it's not subjective. So we don't believe that design is subjective. I mean, of course, in a practice like, if you're an artist, you really, and I really appreciate how you talk through your pieces, because it's really, you try to visualize and materialize something that you have within. So we believe that we do a different thing, simply, in the sense that we try to visualize and materialize something that is inside of other people, in the sense that it's basically our clients. So we try to, through the process, to make happen what are the identity of our clients. So the same way we try to operate with furniture. Also our chairs, for instance, the textile part is basically, we consider it like a dress. So we designed a structure where the fabric, it's just a dress of it, and you can keep changing it as per your mood, as much as we wear today this cloth, and the furniture should help you to express yourself in that way. So as a philosophy, whether it's the design studio or the brand itself, we really try to silently do what we believe it can help everyone.
I love that. So much to think about. Thanks, Federico.
Thank you.
Priyanka, tell us.
I'll start with the story of how our studio is designed and the architecture of it. I think this building was made in collaboration with Mitul Bhai and Priyanka from Surat, and beautiful architects. And it was really interesting because they said the studio is essentially 3 or 4 rooms, but really the heart of this project is the passageways that connect all the rooms. And whether it's a workshop like a lathe room or a studio room, it's the passages which connect all of the rooms. And honestly, this is where most of the interactions and the collaborations that I've noticed at the studio really happen, in the in-between spaces, really. And I think we're really living that reality out there every day in our design practice. And I think it's the chance encounters, the chance conversations which keep happening amongst us. And honestly, it has a way of entering the memory. It has a way of entering also the things that we create, really. And I've seen that happen so many times in the products that we're making. So we make these carousels, and they're all done in wood and now multiples of materials. And these carousels are honestly just an object, and you crank up a handle and everything moves in it. And because everything moves, it's everybody who's looking at it at one time is having an experience with it together. And it's about those kind of memories, and it's about those kind of experiences that essentially we're eventually designing for. And how we apply this also into our, say, architectural work is right now we're making this cafe space, and on purpose, we've made the passages just enough, just narrow enough for two people to pass by. And maybe there's a chance there where someone will say, "Excuse me," and if one is interested, you can start a conversation after that. So we really, truly believe that designing for experiences like that, you might not be able to really make them happen. You're not orchestrating those, but you're at least creating an environment where there's a chance that one will go beyond what meets the eye. And I truly think that that's one of the things that I look for the most in my process. Yeah.
I love it. That's so beautiful. Siddharth, I know you touched on a few, but is there a favorite that you can just share with us?
An artist?
A favorite, a space that you designed to...
Yeah, I mean, when it came to Soka, the whole idea was to create a conversation. I made the lamp, made the community table for a reason where people could kind of interact with it, spark conversations. Actually, I'll just love to take this opportunity to announce a place I'm opening in Bangalore very soon called Dali and Gala, where it's just a 60-seater cocktail bar, but every single table is just 2-seater. And everyone is cramped up together. And the reason is to create this conversation. I'm creating about 80 artworks for this space, and every artwork has an angle of humor. All of these artworks will be embedded in cupboards, and the whole idea is, again, to just see it, maybe like have a chuckle, and this would kind of spark conversations. So the whole purpose of art is not just to be a decoration on the wall, rather to instill a feeling or spark a conversation, or give a new perspective of looking at things. Yeah.
Thank you. It's really exciting in Bangalore, right? Later next month.
Yeah. Oh, it's opening on the 23rd. It's called Dali and Gala, and the whole place is about surrealism, adultery, and romance as a theme. And yeah, excited.
Exciting. I want to ask you, people talk about stealing like an artist. So I wanted to know, could you tell us a bit about your, inspirations and how you take those inspirations and make them your own?
Okay. Stealing like an artist. I think, honestly, we believe that originality is something that is a bit overrated, in the sense that we think parameters that we set in our process bring us to the final object, in the sense that we are surrounded by many inputs every day and culturally, in a different way, but we actually have, a surrounding that influence us at every step. And I think, like Enzo Mari, that is a designer that always in our heart, in our practice, it's basically teach us that every innovation comes slowly, keeping innovating from something that, of course, it exists in a way or another. Maybe not in a shape or in a form, but subtly enter in your life and in your sensibility throughout your life. So I think, let's say that basically each parameter that you set during the process leads you to slowly, reach a different target every time. So I believe that it's a process. It's a process to, that ultimately leads you to a final result.
Thanks, Federico. That's a very interesting take. I love it. Priyanka?
For me, I think my inspirations come from old city streets. I think nameless, faceless inspirations where, on an old city street, it's not one person who ever made it. It's so many people who made that street the way we see it, and over so much time as well. And I think one of my favorite things to do is just imagine where it came from and where did that thought even come from. And each house probably has a different facade, and everyone has their own expression. And I think the variety of inspiration that comes from these kind of very, very diverse kind of spaces is my favorite thing. And I think hence the nameless, faceless, really like a community pot of,
Nice.
getting
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. I have goosebumps.
I think I'd like to quote Tagore on this. He said, you can steal, you can copy, but when you give back in your own coin. And I think nothing is original, everything is copied. When you look at things, there's always a subconsciously it's there somewhere. I was here 2-3 days ago at the AD show as well. But I just visit these spaces just so that, I see things and you don't know where, but somewhere, something kind of clicks and you get a new idea. And your own experiences are added to that. So even with Room 1, it was a space, I saw a space which was a bar called Haflington. They had, something to do with taxidermy, a big skeleton. But then you kind of change that, you add your own stamp to it. And I think that is important. If you try and be original, you'll never end up doing anything. I've read
true.
this quote somewhere. But everything is kind of inspired. Everything is, everything is.
Yeah,
kind of
totally agree. Actually, just to tie to that, our collection that we are presenting starts from an archetype, Italian archetype, that is a lawn chair called Tripolina, that is being designed from an unknown designer using during the Tripoli War in Africa, and that was foldable and easy to carry around. But basically, starting from that, that is a piece that was existing. But basically, we engineer it for considering the Indian context. So all the joinery and the hardware, we actually design it keeping in mind the context where we were and where we are. And so also like simply, for instance, the chair, the chair that is being done in Tripoli has rivets to use, to close the chair. But rivet here in India was really difficult to use because the machine itself is controlled by people. So if you close them too tight, the chair will not open. So to control that, it's really difficult in the scenario. So we designed basically a custom screw that allows, with the length itself, that allows the screw to close perfectly at that dimension. So there is no mistake. And also if there is a mistake that maybe they interchange screws, it's easy to change, because otherwise rivets you would have, need to cut everything to open it up. So thinking about the context, it's it's important always when we detail this.
Thank you to all three of you, and thank you to ID. We'll hand it over.